I actually just got off the road. I did like a 6-month tour with Jewel, and that went great. It was really fun. We went on the road with Rob Thomas, had a really fun time. Rob's band was great, and we got along, and you know, sometimes tours can get a little crazy, so it was fun. So it's fun to go on a tour that everybody's cool with, and everybody's nice, and we had a really good time, played really nice venues. And that tour wrapped up, and then I came home, and now I'm about to start with the new Green Day album and the new Green Day tour, and that'll take, you know, the good 2.5, 3 years of my life, starting like now. So that's kind of what I'm in the middle of right now. My very first keyboard I ever got was a Juno 106, and I've always just been such a big fan of Roland. I remember I had that keyboard, and then I remember years later, I was taking piano, and I was really into my, like every little kid, just taking piano lessons, and I didn't really need a rig for recording or touring or anything, because I was 7 or 8 years old. So I never really got back into synths, but I always had my Roland Juno 106, and that's what I would kind of, I could make helicopter sounds with it, and make the wind whistle, and then years later, I wanted to get a really cool keyboard. A keyboard that just blew me away was the Roland JV 1080, and I bought that, and that literally changed my life. I was probably like a year out of high school, and I bought a little Macintosh, and I bought a little sequencing program, and I used every sound that I would use when I was recording and writing and stuff was all through the 1080, and I was just blown away that like everything across the board, the whole palette of all the sounds sounded amazing, and I still own that keyboard today. So I got into that, and I loved my 1080, and then I bought a JP8000 and a VK7, and I just started buying all these Roland synths, and I've been such a really big fan of Roland, and when I had the opportunity to be one of their endorsees, I, of course, was all over it, because they're just such amazing keyboards across the board. My typical setup on tour is, it's funny, it kind of changes from different projects to different projects. I played in the Goo Goo Dolls for years, and when I was with them, I had like 2 racks of like samplers and different keyboards. I did that whole tour, and I was kind of over having the big racks, because it was just, it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of room for error with patch changings. When you're live and you're on the fly and you're in front of 15,000 people, it's it can be really nerve-wracking, when you have an intro to a song and it's all piano or all keyboards, and there's layered stuff, and you got all these different keyboards, and one of them gives out or something doesn't change right, and it was kind of a nerve-wracking experience. And even though you kind of have a keyboard tech to take care of that stuff, it's just kind of nerve-wracking knowing that stuff can go on. Once I joined Green Day, because Green Day, is kind of like a punk band, it's like I knew I wasn't going to have a billion keyboard sounds and synthesizer sounds and stuff. It's pretty much going to be kind of organic stuff like pianos and strings. I would say piano and strings are most of my night, then organ too. So on the road with Green Day, I'm going to have a Phantom and a V-Synth and a Hammond B3. The V-Synth is such an amazing keyboard with all the analog, because I'm kind of a gear freak. I got probably over 30 synthesizers, and I'm a huge old school analog freak. And I got a Jupiter 6 and a Jupiter 8, and I got like 3 Junos, and I'm super into old vintage synthesizers. It's kind of like the Mini Moog of this generation. It's kind of like what the Mini Moog was in the 70s. I think the V-Synth is to keyboard technology now. As far as analog stuff goes, anything that I need is going to be in the V-Synth, hands down, which is great. I usually use the pads that just layer, like you don't even really know they're there, but they're filling the entire song up. Anybody in the audience won't even know there's a keyboard playing, but all of a sudden, now the song is just huge, because some of those old analog pads on there will just blanket the entire song and just make it bigger than life. What I love about the Phantom is that, to me, what's important, there's a lot of keyboard companies where when you pull up a piano sound, it's kind of like their version of their piano. There was a really famous keyboard, and I won't say the name of it, but everybody had this keyboard. Everybody was like, you turn on TV, and it's like every night the band on Saturday Night Live, and Leno and Letterman, it's like everybody was playing this keyboard. And so I bought one, and I just could never figure out why people played this keyboard, because when I would pull up a Rhodes sound, it was kind of like their kind of tweaked out version of a Rhodes, you know, or you pull up a clav sound, and it was kind of their, you know, it's like there was no like, I want something like, for me, I need something that sounds like a Rhodes, or sounds like a Wurlitzer, or sounds like a clav, or sounds like a Hammond B3, or sounds like a Steinway. You'll find a keyboard that's got an amazing piano sound, and then all the rest of the sounds, it's like you can't use any of them. So you got this honking keyboard, and then you got to buy 2 more honking keyboards, one for the strings and one for, you know, it's just like, the thing that I love about the Fantom is all of the sounds in here just sound unbelievable. They're realistic, and they also have 15 versions of each sound, you know, which is great for me. You know, it's like if you pull up a Rhodes, you can get like a suitcase Rhodes, or you can get a stage Rhodes, or you can get like, you know, the dyno Rhodes, and you can get the tremolo Rhodes, and they're all very, very true to what it actually is, you know. So it's great. The Fantom for me means I don't have to have those racks of samplers and keyboards anymore, all the rack mounts. I can just have one keyboard on stage and pretty much take care I'd take care of everything. The one thing that I absolutely love about the Fantom is this display screen is just the best thing ever. I've never seen another keyboard where it's so easy, and my favorite thing on here is the favorites window. And I can go in and I can program all of my sounds, have them exactly how I want, and then I set them all up, and there's, how many banks is there? There's 8 banks, and in each bank there's 8 sounds. So you can have 64 sounds right at your fingertips. And for me, especially playing live, that's really important, because you're going to be segueing songs, especially with Green Day. We'll play back to back to back to back to back, and then take 4 minutes to talk to the audience, and then go back to back to back to back. So I don't have time to be scrolling through and figuring out where the sounds are and stuff. I need to be able to look at it at a page and go, boom, and then, just be able to pull up anything. So this screen is just awesome. And the great thing is, it's so bright and it's big, and when I'm, you know, if the stage is dark, I can look at it and everything's right in front of me, and it's just one button and you're there. So, for instance, this is my favorite piano sound on here. It's called the Ultimate Grand. It's a great piano sound. It sounds, for me, I kind of need a bright sound. I need a sound that's going to cut, not so much like a mellow kind of classical grand piano, you know, like I kind of need that sound where it's going to cut through. And this, for me, it's just, I mean, this thing cuts, it cuts so good through everything. I mean, you can imagine when you're playing with a punk rock band, everybody's playing guitars through, you know, big, huge, you know, stacks. It's hard to be playing keyboards and have your sound actually cut through. And I'm playing so much piano that this sound for me is just amazing. And then here we are. Of course, this is easy. I can hit 2. This is the Tremolo stage electric piano. It's a just amazing. It just sounds like a stage Rhodes, you know. It's for me. I know a lot of guys. I'm really not one of these guys, but a lot of guys when they tour, they kind of like to have a real Rhodes, and they like to have a real clavinet, and they like to have a real old Wurlitzer, and they like to have all these different keyboards. I'm sure I got to say that it's got to be mostly for looks, because all those instruments are so finicky that touring with them, when they're going in and out of semi-trucks every day in different weather, and it might be raining at a stadium, and your keyboards are getting wet, and it's like, it's just such a hassle. And when you can and they go out of tune, they all go out of tune, and they break like crazy. So for me, like I was saying before, having a kind of a keyboard that is just a universal, all the sounds are just amazing. It's just, I love my Phantom. It's just a great keyboard for me, and it'll never leave my side for sure. And one of my favorite things on this keyboard is when I really want to make somebody mad at sound check, and they say something stupid on the microphone, I can go.